You're listening to Pink Lady Presents, only on LA Talk Radio.
I'm gonna live till I die. I'm gonna laugh instead of cry. I'm gonna take the town and turn it upside down. I'm gonna live until I die.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Pink Lady Presents It Ain't Over Till You Say It's Over. First, Dove and I want to thank everyone out there for all your emails telling us how you enjoy all our guests who have lives well lived. And today is no different. I have with me today a singing patriot, Jack Knight. Hello, Jack.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Welcome, and thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Jack is a retired Army veteran. And how long did you serve?
Actually, I only served 2 years during the time between Korea and Vietnam. And I spent most of my time at the Army War College. And it was such a hard time because in those 2 years I had 6 months of guard duty at the post swimming pool.
Oh, how terrible.
Only Jack Knight could arrange that, right?
I love it. Now, you also did some entertaining in the service, am I correct?
Yes, I did the Army had talent contests in those days, and I was a finalist in the second Army show, and it was a lot of fun. I met some people that I still are friends with.
Really?
Yeah, today. And then they had the Mr. DC USO contest.
Whoa, okay.
And I won that.
Easily, right?
Well.
And then when you came out of the service, then what did you do?
I taught school for a little while. And
what did you teach?
English in a small college. Then I went to New York, and right away I was doing commercials and did the Prime of Miss Jean Brody on Broadway for about a year.
Oh, wow,
I was in musicals at Lincoln Center and City Center. South Pacific, 168 performances, which was really cool.
Wow.
And that was, and I had still played a lot of sports right through college and right high school. My high school basketball team, really big, and I played in the Army as well.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
And
in between watching the swimming pool.
Just about.
Okay.
I pitched a no-hitter in the tournament.
Oh, well, hello. Well, now, going back to your stage career, what was one of the parts that you loved the most? I mean,
when I did Wish You Were, this was at Wonderful Town with Elaine Stritch at the City Center in New York. I played this wannabe pro football player.
Okay.
And I had a song called, what the heck was it? I Could Pass That Football.
How did it go?
Let's see. 1 and 1 was 2. I thought that it was 3, but I could pass that football. And it was a dance routine, and I'm throwing a cabbage.
Oh, no.
As if it were a football. And I told the chorus boy who was going to catch it, turn your back to the audience, because if you drop it, no, he dropped it. It bounced off stage right onto the timpani. God, strike me dead if I'm lying. So I kept going with the song. What did the guy in the orchestra pit threw it back up on stage in the middle of the song?
That is
that
funny.
was hysterical.
Oh,
really
my
hysterical.
Lord.
That's one of the benefits of live theater.
That's
sure,
right.
free food.
Yes.
I love it. Well, now, it says you were a former All-American.
Yes,
now,
I played
what?
softball all my life. Started right after my dad sort of left off. And,
what did your dad do?
My dad worked for Lever Brothers. He was a kind of commissioner or a second in charge of a reform school for.
Really?
And his main job was to go get guys who were left out on weekends and didn't come back. So he had handcuffs and belts and He was built like this. He didn't argue.
Excuse
with
me,
him.
this is a family show.
So he was a reform institution truant officer.
Just about. Yeah,
I love it.
that was part of his job.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was a pretty good softball player himself. He pitched one no-hitter, and so I would catch him and warm him up for games until he broke the window of the store across the street.
Oh, no.
Yeah, my fault. So I started playing locally back home and got pretty good. And later on in my career, I had seen this famous softball team, the King in His Court.
Right.
Eddie
right.
Feiner was the star, best pitcher ever. I pitched 45 no-hitters in my career.
Wow.
He pitched over 800.
Oh.
That's how good he was.
Oh, my.
And he had this touring team since 1946, striking out everybody and eventually evolving to a show like the Globetrotters.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I thought, hey, what about a movie about a team like this? So
Okay.
I somehow contacted him, and he said, you think you could play me in a movie? Because we've been looking to do something like that. So I went out and auditioned for him. I hit the wall in a baseball park, which was pretty far.
Oh, wow.
And I ad-libbed, and so the next thing I know, I'm playing ball and touring the world playing ball. And I did that through the summers for over 25 years.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
mixed that up with TV and all the other stuff.
Right. And now on television, what are some of the things that you've done?
Lately, I did a piece that I'm really proud of. It may be still available on Netflix. I played a survivor of the Arizona and the Pearl Harbor event.
Oh.
And the show was written so that with my age, of course, I couldn't do it live.
Your young age.
So it was from a documentary film
right.
that young McGarrett sees. And in it, I say that the guy who saved a whole lot of lives on the ship was his grandfather.
Oh,
So
wow.
they fantasized that little piece.
And what's the name of it?
Something about Black Pearl on Hawaii Five-0.
Oh, wow.
Every show has its Hawaiian name.
Right, right.
And I can't even remember that. But it was, I would say that's one of the best pieces I've done.
But you also are remembered for being in the original, am I correct, cast of Cheers?
Yes, I played several episodes in
Now,
the
what
first
did you
year.
play? I mean,
I played Jack Murphy from
Okay.
Somerville, Mass. And I know you where that, you know
Yeah.
where that is.
Right.
And I can recall that one of the shows, my favorite line, after the first line I had in the show, period, stopped the show.
and what was that like?
What's her name? The girl is upset, the waitress, that he's flirting with another girl. And
Right.
she says, my name is Brandy with 2 E's. And so she goes away in a huff and she asks Norm and I, anything you guys want? And I said, yeah, I'll have a beer with 2 E's. Stop the show. Not me, really, but it was brilliant writing on the show.
Yes.
Wow.
So the subsequent program, the mailman says, the smartest animal in the world is the pig. And the smartest animal in the world is a pigeon. 40,000 cars on the turnpike, they find mine. So when they gave me scripts each week, they would say, fix it so
Fix
it will
it.
sound awesome.
Right. I love it.
Added the Jack Knight touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, the Cheers bar in Boston is still going strong.
Right.
It's not the one used in the set, but they actually built a bar, and it's the Cheers bar. It's right off of Marlborough Street.
The original bar was the Hampshire House downstairs bar.
Mm-hmm.
And for a time, there was another bar that opened up as Cheers.
Okay.
There was a court case. So
Yes.
the judge said, okay, Cheers, you can't use that because they got fame by starting
Right,
there.
right.
But if they flunk off the air,
Oh.
you can change it back to Cheers. Well, 12 years later, I think they, but for a while I could get drinks at both places.
Oh,
There
I
you
love
go.
it.
Because
And now-
everybody knew your name.
Yeah.
Now, when 9/11 came,
Yes.
I know you're a veteran, and I know that your passion is entertaining and helping our veterans across the country. Can you tell people what, at that moment, what you decided to do?
Well, that morning, a friend in Detroit called me because of the time difference.
Right.
Woke me up and told me what happened. I lived in New York when the towers were going up. Never visited there. But when they went down, my heart went back.
Yes.
So the short time afterwards, I wrote a song for myself, Fallen Heroes. It was just to get that feeling out of me. People
Right.
heard it, And they said, you got to do that at the first commemoration.
Right.
So I drove cross country, stopping at every place I could find with cops and firefighters and stuff, with big T-shirts. LA to Ground Zero, and they signed personal messages of support. And I delivered since then maybe 45 of those, each with 200 or 300 messages on it.
Wow.
And so that first day was the most amazing thing. The feeling of togetherness and compassion and just being an American and suffering and getting through it. So I thought I was going to do it for 5 years. Now it's 17.
17
Yeah,
years.
and I've sung in close to 5,000 firehouses, plus police stations. I even sang to a veteran in the bathroom at the airport. So,
Well, I'm going to ask, our audience, I know, would like to share with us today what you do.
generally, I would walk into a firehouse and I'd say, "Anybody in the house?" I'm not a real firefighter, and they'd invariably say, "Oh, we're not either." But we'd get down serious, and I'd tell them I'm going to sing for them, and they kind of look funny.
Well, yeah.
But then when they hear the words, they know that. So I'll do it. Thousands of brave men and women are out there helping us today. And to each and every one of them, I just want to say, every time you put your uniform on, you're a hero in my eyes. Every time you go and answer the call, you're a hero in my eyes. No one joined up to be a hero. You join because it's in your heart, and you respond when duty calls you, and that's what sets you all apart. Every time you say a comforting word, you're a hero in my eyes. Every time that you reach out to someone, you're a hero in my eyes. I know you'll say, I'm not a hero, but there is a hero in you all. You're the ones we put our trust in when our backs are to the wall. And every time you put your lives on the line, you're heroes in my eyes. Every time you go above and beyond, you're heroes in my eyes. And though you'll say we're not heroes, you are heroes, one and all, the ones we trust and count on, always ready, standing tall. Thanks for what you do.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I want to tell you that I had the privilege. Pink has been very involved with SAG-AFTRA, as are you. And I had the privilege a few months ago. There was a meeting of all veterans who had just left the service, who were either coming back to SAG-AFTRA, Screen Actors Guild, or just starting.
Right.
And Jane Austen, who's the president of SAG-AFTRA, was sitting in that seat. We taped a show that was broadcast previously. And she said, you know, when you get through with the invocation, we have gifts for everybody here. And I looked over to my left, and stacked next to a dolly full of boxes from Operation Gratitude was Jack Knight, giving them out to all of these veterans. I know that you're a major supporter and ambassador for Operation Gratitude.
Golly, I haven't been there since yesterday.
Right. And sitting in that chair, we had Bob Donovan.
Right.
We did a program
Right, a
about
few weeks
Operation
ago.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
So how
And
did
they've-
you get involved?
Let me just tell
Oh,
them one more
sorry.
thing. And I know that you've packed in excess of 2.5 million
Million.
boxes that have
That's
been
right.
sent to
Right.
veterans in active
And
duty around
I
the world.
was there on the very first day
Really?
that we sent a box from the National Guard Armory in Van Nuys.
Wow.
We've subsequently moved to our own warehouse in Chatsworth.
Right.
Right.
And I call myself the morale officer.
I was
Right.
going to say,
Yeah.
why? Because
I'm a greeter and
Yes.
involve people,
Right.
particularly when there are groups there. I ask them where they're from. and-
you're so shy and humble.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
And so I have, on behalf of Operation Gratitude, recently, last September, I drove 9,000 miles from here to Ground Zero and Maine and back, visited over 350 first responder
Wow.
venues for our program, which has been honoring first responders with not boxes, but care kits.
Oh,
They're
wow.
gestures of support and thanks, and that program has taken off. And I know that there's going to be a lot of requests from people in the Carolinas.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, we had a program down in Orange County in June. The Jewish War Veterans of California had a state convention. And in the gymnasium, we had people from Operation Gratitude and a packing session. We had over 400 people packing gift boxes to be shipped out through the Operation Gratitude.
On the first day, we did 1,500 boxes. Now we do sometimes more than 1,500 in an hour.
Oh, wow.
That's
Dear
quite
friends,
something. Yes.
dear friends, it is people like Jack Knight who, when we talk about sharing lives well lived with all of you, this is who we mean. People who give from their heart as well as their mind and body, because it's a lot of work. Jack Knight, actor, wonderful war veteran who, believe me, we thank you for your service, and a friend. God bless you and what you do. We'll be right back. I believe it is not the breaths we take in life that count. It's what we do with the breaths we take. And I should know. 84 years young. Today on this stage, you will see talented performers all over the age of 60.
Life is a cabaret, old chum. It's only a cabaret, old chum.
Money! You got lots of friends hanging around that door.
I'm gonna live and live now, 'cause everything's coming up rosy.
Then your fingers touched my silent heart and taught it how to sing.
Dear, with your lips to mine, of rhapsody divine, sing with the strings of my heart.
To reach the unreachable stars.
But I've got to do it all in 3 minutes or less. How about maybe ragtime? How about boogie woogie? Woo!
Darling, let's dance. Let the music take us. The blues ain't gonna break us. We won't give it no chance.
Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. You've treated me so kind. I'm about to lose my mind. You made me so very happy.
So hush, little baby, don't you cry.
To reach the unreachable star.
We are back, and we are back with a fantastic young lady. Her name is Marva X, and she is a delightful, charming woman, but more than that, she is doing something for our veterans, which makes me feel so good, and I know once you hear what she does, it's going to make you feel so good. And hello, Marva.
Hello, and thank you for inviting me.
I thank you. Your grandson is a Army Reserve, right?
He is.
But now we're going to go back a generation or so. Tell us about your dad.
My dad joined the Navy in 1936.
Wow.
He ran away from his grandfather's farm in Florida and went to Georgia. When he signed the paperwork, he was told by the Navy that as long as he signed this paperwork, they would take care of him and his family for the rest of his life, and he believed them. So he stayed in for 24 years. He retired in 1960, so he was World War II, Korea, and he went back in for Vietnam.
Wow.
So my whole life.
Is he still alive?
No, he passed away in 2007.
Oh, 2007. Wow.
And a long, illustrious career.
Wow,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah.
My whole life up until my junior year of high school was all military bases.
Wow.
So you just kept moving from one base to
Right,
Yeah,
right.
the-
I went
the-
to 5 high
What do
schools.
they call that?
An
Army
affectionate
brat
term is
or
an Army
Navy
brat,
or
right.
Yeah, I am a
brat.
Navy brat,
Yeah, right.
yes.
I love it.
Right.
And so tell me about you personally. What did you do up until this time?
I've taken on several different kinds of jobs. I've done security, secretarial. I even was a bale bucker when I lived in Montana. I moved bales of hay stacks all over Montana. It was
Are you
great.
kidding me?
No,
Oh.
no, it was great.
We
You
think
mean
of
lift
bail,
them up?
and we think of bail bonds differently
Right,
down
right.
in L.A.
I was thinking myself, that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm going,
Right.
okay, the bale.
No, these
I
are
get-
bales
I
of
get
hay
it.
on a semi that was 53 feet long, and we picked up a haystack and moved it to a farm.
Oh,
and
my.
it was 3.5 hours of driving, but it was great. He let me finally drive the semi one time.
Now, is that a picture of your dad? that
It
you have
is.
there?
It is.
I think we can hold that up.
Okay.
Let me just get that.
Mhm.
I'm sure that we have it here.
Yep.
Handsome man. Now,
He
how
just-
old was he, did you say again, when he entered the service?
He was 19 when he entered
19.
in 1936, yes. And he passed away at 89.
God bless
Yes.
him. You know,
Yes.
it's what you're doing, and we're going to tell our audience now, for our veterans.
Yes.
Just, it's going to bring tears, so I'm going to start right off the bat. You have a program
Yes.
that you're involved in called Honor Flight. I had never, I have to be honest with you, until I met Dove, what Honor Flight was. Can
Right.
you tell our
I want, when you tell our
Yeah.
audience, I want to tell you that, first of all, thank you.
You're welcome.
Because I have personally met and worked with people who have benefited from going on the honor flight. And they never stop talking about it for the rest of their lives. Tell
Exactly.
our viewing audience what honor flight is all about and what branches of service, what age groups, what military actions, World War II, Korea, so that they have a feel for it.
feel
And then
for
when
it,
you're all
right.
through, before we let you go today,
Right.
we're going to challenge the audience to support Honor Flight and how they can help make the program stronger
Right.
and better.
Awesome.
Marva, please.
Okay. We are Honor Flight of the Inland Empire. There's 132 hubs, we're called a hub, across the country. There's 10 in California. We service between the Pacific Ocean and Palm Springs, Temecula, and Barstow. Those where the applications have come from for me. When I first joined this organization, it was in 2010 when it was first forming.
And
they
what
called-
made you join? That's I'd like to get.
I'm a Navy brat, and I had to do it.
That says it all.
Yeah, I was
know.
asked if I wanted to join a group that was taking care of veterans and was doing something for veterans. And being a Navy brat, I was like, if I don't do it, how can I tell my dad I didn't do it?
Oh.
So I joined the group, and they needed someone to take care of the applications.
Okay.
And I said, I have an administrative background. I'll do that. So they gave me the applications in 2 boxes in no particular order, and I thought, am I supposed to just flip it and started making phone calls? And they said, no, it has to be in the order of the date received. And so it didn't matter what branch of service they were in, it mattered what date the application was. So I tell people that's the day my living room floor disappeared, because I had to take those applications starting from 2007. They were already 3 years old because there was no
Wow.
hub in this area. So I got the applications and started from 2007 to 2010, and put them all in stacks, and then
How many
banded
were
up.
there about?
Oh, there were thousands.
Oh,
thousands.
my.
They were in a Xerox box, and it was overflowing. So I banded up 2008, 9, and 10, and then
Did that
started
all, I'm
on.
sorry, but
that's
did that
right.
also go by month, and as
It
well as
did,
year?
yes,
Oh,
it did,
my
yes.
Lord.
So I banded up 8, 9, and 10, and then started on 2007 and put them all by month, and then banded up February to December and started on January 1 through 31, put them all in order and started making phone calls. And on that first flight, we had 9 veterans. I'm getting goosebumps. We had 9 veterans on that first flight, and one of them passed away 2 weeks before the flight. So I went to the family and said, give me his picture. I'll get him on the flight. So we got his picture on the flight, and that started, his name was Jess Ramirez, and that started my Jess Ramirez Memorial Project. So now we take pictures of deceased veterans, get them to Washington on the flight, and get the pictures back to the family, because the picture is held up according to the column at the World War II Memorial.
Right.
Each one of those columns represents a state. So whatever state they joined in, that's the state we hold the picture up to and give it back to the family.
So it's not where they lived, actually.
Right.
It's where they're from.
Right. But it's the deceased ones. So it also mattered that the veterans that were called are called in order of their campaign. So I have to take World War II first, and I've been doing that up until this next flight next weekend.
Okay.
I'm down to 11 in my file on this flight.
From World War II.
Right.
What age bracket are we talking about?
88 to 101. We took one that was 100 years old on a flight, and we just wrapped him up and put him on the plane.
And there are many who might, not many because now they're dying off, but there would be some who would love to go and physically can't go.
And I'm working on that.
So we're trying
We're
to...
going to have a virtual flight so they don't have to
so they
leave
can
the state.
see and be part of it.
Oh,
Right.
would that be fun?
Right.
Well, can you explain, before we go on, actually what from the very beginning of getting in touch with them, how does the process then go?
Okay, so I get the application, and once I find out, once we have about $25,000 in the bank, we know that we can put about 20 on a plane. And as soon as we get at least that much money, we know we have a flight. So I start making phone calls. It might take, there was one flight, we had 45 vets on a flight. It took over 300 phone calls. Because there's some that say, I'm real busy that weekend. Can you put me on a later flight at 95? I'm sure I can do that. No problem.
Yeah, you got plenty of time.
Exactly.
It's okay.
So I start making the phone call to let them know I have a flight coming up. Some have been waiting and they don't believe it. I had one wife that hung up on me, and she went before she hung up. She said,
"What did she think?"
She said, "I don't let my husband talk to any woman." And I thought, oh my gosh,
especially at 89 and 95.
Then you have to lower your voice and say, "Excuse me, but this is."
Well, there was an alternative phone number for the daughter, so I called the daughter and I said, "Would you please call your mom and tell her I don't want your dad like that?"
I love it.
So I called them and talked to them about this flight. It's time for them to go to Washington. It takes a minute for them to realize this is real and it's going to happen. And then I give them the itinerary, how to pack, what to pack, and where they're going, and all of that.
But what do you tell them it's for? That's what I'm saying.
I tell them, well, they already have the application filled out. So I'm telling them, your application for the Honor Flight Inland Empire is now being processed, and I have a flight for you on such and such a date. Can you go? And they're like, what? Really? Yes. So I have to take World War II first. So that's why I've been dealing with World War II for so long. But once I get through all of those applications, I can start calling in the Korea veterans.
So wait a minute now. So you're telling our audience that how long have you been with the group?
It's going into 9 years.
So till 9 years, you've been dealing with World War II.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
Okay.
And I'm still.
I'm trying to get that in my mind.
People tell me that they're passing away at a fast rate, but you couldn't tell it from my phone calls.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we have a veteran who's a doctor, very involved with the National Cemetery Foundation, and he spoke at the Congressman Ted Lieu's town hall last year.
Tell him what happened.
And he said,
this is cute, Mom.
World War II veterans. He is a World War II veteran.
Right.
He was a medic. And
how young is he?
He's 94.
94.
And he said, World War II veterans are dying off 1 an hour.
Wow.
He looked at his watch. He said, we better get busy. And there were 400 people that stood and laughed. And he's still very active with the National Cemetery as a board of director member.
Well, I tell the veterans, I'm 92, so I don't know if I'm capable or able. And I said, if you're 92 and you're going on this flight, you're going to have to sit at the kiddie table in Washington because we've got vets that are 98 and 100. So you're right.
But also, you also mentioned, I was reading, that you have not a caregiver, I hate to use that word, but it's a guardian.
Yes.
I love that word.
Yes.
A guardian who, by the way, my dear audience, goes with this program from here to Washington and back for $0. pay.
Right.
They pay their own way.
I mean, that
right.
is
we
fabulous.
fundraise to send the veterans, but the guardians all pay their own way.
Okay,
Yes.
so now we have a World War II veteran.
Right.
You've notified them. Now
Right.
what?
Now all I have to do is make sure that they feel that it's okay for them to go. Because I've had some that once they get the itinerary, they take it to their doctor, and the doctor says absolutely not.
Oh.
And maybe because of clots, and maybe because of whatever. But I've even had some that changed their dialysis date so they could go.
Oh.
So whatever it takes. Once I get the list of who's going, then I can start putting together the packet so that they have all the information for the families. The wives don't go. We'd rather the kids not go, because the whole thing is to get veterans to go back in time, dealing with more veterans, and somehow they give each other permission to talk.
Yes.
They don't talk about their war experience with their families,
Right.
but somehow on this trip they give each other permission to talk.
Right.
So when they get back,
Yeah.
I tell the families, this is where you can be, is at the airport, so we can give them all the welcome home that they never got the first time. Right. And what you want to do is have videos, all kinds of cameras, have a family reunion, because they're going to be like a little chatty Cathy when they get back.
Right.
Now they've gotten this permission to
Sure.
talk, they're going to start talking, and we take them into the schools. So they can share
fabulous.
with the kids
That's
and get this
fabulous.
living history from the kids.
I
for
love
the kids.
that, Pat. I
It's
didn't
wonderful.
know that.
Yeah, we've
okay,
been to
so
several
now we're on
schools.
the flight,
Mhm.
and you have how many? Say approximately.
On this flight, we'll have 35.
Okay.
We have 11 World War II, 11 Korea, and 3 Vietnam.
With their guardians.
With the guardians.
With the guardians.
Yes.
So now we're on the flight,
Right.
and it's what, 5 hours?
It's about that. They leave here about 6 in the morning on a Friday morning.
Okay.
They get to Washington about 4:30 in the afternoon. They go to the hotel, they get their room assignments, and then they come downstairs for a nice dinner.
Okay.
Usually, the hotel will give them a little chit for the bar. But we always tell the families they're not drinking because we know they're on meds, right? Their bonding is what they're doing.
Right.
So then they get up early on Saturday morning, a tour bus meets them, and the only thing under that tour bus is water, wheelchairs, and snacks. And they take them around Washington. They visit about 11 different memorials.
Oh,
They stop at the World War II. They stop at Iwo Jima. Now that we have a female on the flight, they'll stop at the Women's Memorial.
Good.
And
Yes.
she'll be recognized in the Women's Memorial.
When did that start?
When 2 years ago, when I took 11 or 10 females on a flight,
I
the most
think
that was
that's
apparently the most that
fabulous.
had been taken from here, and 9 males, and that was when we had our first love connection. Because one
I
of the
love it. This is a
one
family
of the,
show now.
Yeah, I know. One of the World War II men and one of the Korea female veterans got together and decided they wanted to keep talking. She lived out in Hemet, he lived in Whittier, and they wanted to keep talking. So they met up at the Union Station to take the train to Monterey,
Okay.
but their grown kids chaperoned.
I love this.
They came back.
TMI. I
They
love
came
it.
back and they kept talking, and pretty soon she sold her house in Hemet,
Oh,
moved in
wow.
with him in Whittier, and they just celebrated their second wedding anniversary, and he's now 97.
And how young is she?
She's been in her 90s. She just started in her 90s.
Ladies and gentlemen out there in our wonderful audience, do you believe a love story like that? That is beautiful.
Well, you know,
oh, I'm
we know about
Yeah.
the love boat, but now we
Right.
have the love plane connection.
That is
Exactly.
cute. That is
And I
my-
chastised the guardians. I said, "You were supposed to be watching these two, you know."
I'm watching. I'm watching.
And you watched. You
Yeah.
just kept your hands off. Right?
But they're wonderful. He was a pilot in World War II, Air Force pilot, and so Chino Air Show just contacted him and brought him out there to give a talk. He thought,
Great.
and they actually let him go up in the kind of plane that he had,
Wow.
and he was flying
Oh,
around. And
wow.
Okay.
yeah,
So
it was
now-
great.
After Marva finishes speaking to us, you're going to have an opportunity to support what they're doing. And she's going to give you an email and a
Right.
website, whatever other information, phone number. We're also telling you that in addition to that, you came to this program by going to Pink Lady Presents LA. If you go there, we will forward any questions, any information that you have directly to her. We won't get in the middle of it. We'll just be the
That's
facilitator.
wonderful. That's
So
wonderful.
please,
Thank you.
if you know anyone who could benefit from this
Right.
program, and if you'd like to refer them to us and support it, we're going to tell you how in just a moment.
Wonderful. Thank you so
So
much.
now
Please.
we're in Washington.
Yes.
We're on the bus taking us around to see everything, and then they go to the actual memorial.
They go to the memorial. They even see the changing of the guard. There's
Okay.
a time slot that we have that they stop and see the changing of the guard.
Now,
Right, for
who
the
is the
Tomb
one
of the
that?
Unknown Soldier at
Right.
Arlington
Wow.
National
Right.
So
Cemetery.
who is the one? Say you have pictures of our illustrious veteran. Who's the one that holds that up? I mean that.
One of our guardians is taking a camera. Each one of the guardians has a job.
Okay.
And so he's taking a camera, and he will designate a veteran to hold up the picture. They love being involved in this kind
Yes.
of thing.
Okay. That's
And
great.
it's not really about the veteran that's holding the picture, it's about the one the picture is of. So they love being involved in that and being able to share with the family. And usually they'll put their name and address on that picture so that the
Oh.
family can get in touch with them
Oh,
and let
that's
them know what the experience was
So
like.
they're getting on the bus on Saturday. They're touring. They're
Right.
touring again on Sunday.
No, that's Sunday morning they're coming home.
They're coming back.
So now, what do they do? So how long do they actually spend at the memorial? Yeah.
There's a whole itinerary for each time that they're going to be. They might just be passing by because we don't want them getting on and off the bus a lot.
Right.
So, and they're going to be touring Washington as well.
Okay.
So the bus is going to meet them at the hotel about 7:30 in the morning and bring them back about 5:30 in the afternoon.
Now, do they have, when they're actually at where they're doing the presentation and the honoring, do they have like a lot of people around them watching and things like
Oh,
that?
people walk up to these veterans because they have their hats on
I
for World
love
War II or
that.
Korea.
Love that.
And the people and the kids always come to the memorials because they know when the flights are coming in, the honor flights are coming in.
right.
And so the kids come up. Some of them are in wheelchairs. You know, some of the vets are in wheelchairs because we
Right,
provide
right.
wheelchairs for any that need it. But people come up and they want to shake their hand. They want to talk to them. They want pictures. The kids give them hugs.
Oh.
And these vets love being in wheelchairs and they love their hats because they know they're chick magnets.
Yes, they definitely are.
Yes, they are.
Do you
They
have
are.
any interaction with the Congress people
I was
from the
just gonna
district?
say, yeah.
Sometimes there used to be Senator Dole that came out,
Oh.
and now we're still trying to contact different other senators and
congressmen,
congressmen, right, and from our area
Sure.
that know that we're coming.
Right.
But there's a
How
whole
have you been
contingency.
successful or no?
There's a
or-
contingency that's working on that, and
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
building
I would
as we're
think that they
growing.
should
Well,
do
we
that.
had a program when my daughter was in middle school where they went to Washington, and our Congressman Brad Sherman, from San Fernando Valley,
Right.
met the class and spoke with them and took pictures with them, and it was memorable. And they all have these framed pictures in their homes,
Right.
And that goes back 20 years.
Well, I did the same thing with Obama's second inauguration. I took my grandson to that just
wow.
for the historical
Okay.
fact of it.
Sure.
And we went around and visited all the memorials. And as we were looking at the maps to see where we wanted to go next, I said, "What do you want to see?" He said, "I want to see the Einstein statue." So I took him over to the Einstein statue so he could sit on it and have his picture taken.
That's right.
We were there
cute.
for over a week, so it was wonderful.
That's great.
Yes.
So now, for our audience, how do they begin the process if
Right.
they have someone from now World War II, anyone that's there, then Korea,
Then Vietnam,
Vietnam,
Afghanistan. We're going right on down the line.
Wow.
Yes,
Okay, so
yes.
let's talk about that.
Right.
Okay.
What's
So
the process, Marva?
How to apply,
Okay.
where to apply, and how to support. The most important part
Okay.
Is how
is
to
how
apply.
can the viewer, who may or may not even have a family member who's qualifying, but they
They may
are
know.
patriots, they
Right.
are Americans, and they
Yeah.
want to see our Americans taken care of.
Okay.
How do we do it?
And I'm glad you said qualify because people want to know, how does my vet qualify? He qualifies by filling out an application. Once we get the application, he's in the file. He's on the waiting list.
Okay.
There's no other thing that we need.
Okay.
As long as he hasn't been on an honor flight before,
Okay.
and that's one of the questions that I ask when I'm assessing.
So when you
So
get
they-
through all the World War II and Korea, I'm a Vietnam vet, then I would be eligible
Absolutely.
to participate, and I would also be eligible to be a companion,
Oh, yes. No, a guardian.
a guardian.
After you've been on the flight.
Only
There's
after.
no right
Oh,
because
I
I don't
see.
want a veteran to go on the flight as a guardian.
Okay.
See?
They
Very
have
First
to
you
go.
want 'em
They
to-
have
Yeah.
to go first as a veteran, to get
veteran.
the
And
experience.
And then I get it.
Wonderful.
Very
Because I
nice,
don't
yeah.
want them to have to pay for that flight,
Got
and
it.
they would have to
Oh.
pay as the guardian.
That's great.
It's important. My dad would be all over me if I did this
Right.
wrong.
Your dad would be really proud of you.
Thank you,
Really?
thank
Yeah.
you. So once they fill out the application
And where
and
do
send
they
it in,
and send it in to? Because
the
we're gonna repeat it.
application is on honorflightie.org. It's honorflightie for Inland Empire.org, and it's under What's Up. So they fill out the application. My address is at the bottom. It's in Grand Terrace, California. They send it to me. I put their name on it and the date it was received and put it in the file. Then it's all in order.
Very important to put that date
Yes.
on it.
And
I see
if for
that.
any reason you don't have that address, even though you're watching, send it to Pink Lady Presents
Right.
LA, and we will make sure that Marva has that information from you.
My personal email is GIGILUVS for Gigi Loves at sbcglobal.net.
Okay, let's do it one more time,
Okay.
nice and loud and clear.
GIGILUV like victory, S at sbcglobal.net.
Right.
My phone number, and I know veterans have put this on bathroom walls between Palm Springs and LA at every American Legion, but it's 909-580-7363.
What is that again?
909-580-7363.
Right. And if you don't have a pen or pencil, at the end of the segment, we will make sure to give you that again. And again, you can reach Marva through Pink Lady Presents LA.
That's wonderful. Thank you so
Now,
much.
I need to ask you.
Yes.
They've been on the trip. They've been honored in Washington. They're coming back. They're going to their homes. What happens? What do a lot of them do then? Do they go to the schools? Do they start to share what they've been through? I mean, what happens?
I have the mailing list. Now that I've got their application, they're
Right.
on my mailing list.
Okay.
So I let them know when we have a school that's interested and has a Veterans Day appreciation coming up.
You know what? Every school should, Marva.
Exactly.
Every
I'm working
school
on
should.
that.
Yeah.
My
I mean,
grandson's school is now starting a program for Veterans Appreciation in Grand Terrace. So
Okay.
it's building. And there's several schools like Moreno Valley and the Riverside District and San Bernardino, Kern County that are also doing the same thing in
well, I
LA.
think we're going to mention it for our schools
Right.
up here
Well,
also.
That's
one of the
wonderful.
things that I want to extend the invitation to you
Okay.
is, as the Los Angeles National Cemetery president, I want you to know that we would love to build programs around
Yes.
these people and the people who have accompanied them
Oh, great.
at the Los Angeles National Cemetery on Veterans Day, Memorial Day.
Right.
We're doing a big event this coming year for the 75th anniversary of D-Day
Oh,
on
great.
June 6th. And so you and I will talk further. And before we let Pink continue, on behalf of the Los Angeles National Cemetery, we have just started doing something in the military known as a challenge coin.
Right.
Never been done before
Right.
in 100 years. And this is one of the original initial challenge coins. And on behalf of the National Cemetery and Pink Lady, we'd like to present it
Oh
to you
my
for your
gosh.
great work for our veterans.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
I mean, really, Marva.
Oh,
One of the
thank
things
you.
I enjoy doing most.
Thank you so much. That is so exciting.
But I think it's exciting that taking these phenomenal veterans of an age, and then no matter what their age later on,
Right.
and bringing them to the schools so that the children
Right.
can see and hear what they've done and what they've been through
It's
for
not,
them,
right,
literally.
Right. It's
and
not
for
in a
their
book.
families. It's
not
not
in
like
book.
a fairy tale.
Exactly.
It's there.
It's not in a book, and
No,
it's not in movies,
no,
and they're
it's
getting
right
this
there.
living history.
Yeah, I think that should be actually. I hope you're bringing this to the state educational department because that should be at least once a year in
Exactly.
every school.
Veterans
Exactly.
Day, the
Veterans
perfect
Day.
time.
That would be
It's
fabulous.
awesome. It's awesome. I'll tell you what, there was one wife that called me after her husband came back, and she sounded angry.
Oh.
And I said, what's the
Why?
matter? She said, I want to know what happened on that flight. And I said, why?
Why?
She said, my 94-year-old husband came home and bought a brand new car. Ma'am,
I love it.
I can
Well,
neither confirm or
Okay,
deny.
so now what you can do is you can use her line. It ain't over
right.
until you say it's over.
Exactly.
over. Well, you know, Marva, people look at someone and they have like this thing in their mind about where they put you
Right.
in their minds.
Right.
Okay, so they'll look at me. And they'll say, "Wow!" And you're active, and you're doing, and and you got a TV show, and this and that, and you have a partner who's I'm a young cub, a cougar, and you know why not? And then they'll say, "And you're young, you know," and then I'll say, "Well, at 86 years young," and they'll go, "Oh,
86.
like I should be in a wheelchair,
Right.
Yeah.
sitting at
Right.
home,
Actually,
knitting."
you've changed it now.
Right.
Now you say that I'm going on
I'm going into my 87th year.
Ready to go.
But you know what I'm
Right,
saying.
I do.
So people put you in a box.
Yes.
Where you have these phenomenal World War II people who are in their 90s.
Right.
You know what? They're up there. We knew a couple who stood tall and in their 95 and 90s. Don't put anyone in a box.
Exactly.
And don't let anyone not do what they want to do until they can't do it anymore.
There was one veteran that I called about a flight a couple of years ago, and he started calling me about once a week or so.
Oh.
He was going to put me on an island. He was going to buy this island and put me on it. And I talked to his wife. She said, just let him talk. So it's fine.
I love it.
But then every time I saw his name pop up on my phone,
Right.
I'd say, hold on, Lloyd. And I'd go get a glass of wine, put my feet up. I know it's going to be a while, and I'm going to hear these great stories.
Oh.
So I saw his name pop up on my phone, and I said, hold on, Lloyd. And Darlene said, no, it's me. And I said, hey, what's happening? And she said, Lloyd passed away. And I went, oh, man. So I go out to Riverside National Cemetery about once or twice a month to say goodbye. Yeah.
Or hello. I always say hello.
Yes.
I never
now
say
when
goodbye.
when the flight comes home, we've got all these people that show up at the airport. We fly in and out of Ontario.
Love it.
So we've got a flight coming in on Sunday, the 23rd at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we meet about 9.
Yeah.
And the vets don't know that that's going to happen. So it's a wonderful surprise. It's a
Wonderful.
great homecoming that they never got.
Yeah, you mentioned Riverside. I want to let our audience know that the Riverside National Cemetery, Peter Young is the director, and Paul Atkins is chairman of the foundation.
Okay.
In Los Angeles County, Tom Ruck is the director, and I'm the president of the foundation.
nice.
And we work very closely because we are the only 2 national
Right.
cemeteries in Southern California.
Right,
We take
right.
care of everything from Ventura to the border, Mexican border.
Wow.
And we are delighted that Honor Flight exists, and they have such an enthusiastic, dedicated person leading the program.
Thank you
and
so
we are in
much,
debt
really.
to you.
That's-
We
Thank
thank you
you.
so much
Thank
on
you.
behalf of all the veterans.
Thank you so much.
And
This-
also, I have to thank your dad.
Thank you so much.
I also have to thank your grandson. I mean, really, and carrying on the phenomenal, shall I say, service
Yes.
for us in this country to feel safe.
He's been doing this with me since he was about 9. And
see-
he's helping me out. So he's got the veteran thing in his head along
Good.
with his
I think
great
it's
grandfather.
fabulous.
Good.
But he's 17 and he'll graduate next year. So between his birthday and his deployment date, he'll have a graduation for his birthday, his graduation from high school, and then his enlistment. And he's
And I
off
can
and
tell you,
running.
as a Vietnam vet, we take off the uniform at some point, but we never stop serving.
No, no.
The gentleman who preceded you on this program was Jack Knight, who's an Army veteran,
Oh,
and
wow.
he packs. He's the ambassador for Operation Gratitude. He goes across
all
the
over the
country.
country.
Right.
So I mean, this is a
Operation Gratitude
program
is
as
wonderful.
we are approaching Veterans
Right.
Day, November 11th, where we're really honoring a myriad of aspects of being a veteran or active duty, and
Well-
all of them are in your debt.
Well, Honor Flight Inland Empire, thanks you for inviting me. This is a wonderful opportunity.
Well, I always say to this audience of ours, and I say again, thank you for watching us, is that what we do by bringing people like you to everyone out there. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And thank you for watching Pink Lady Presents It Ain't Over Till You Say It's Over. Thank you. God bless you.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
You're listening to Pink Lady Presents, only on LA Talk Radio.